not really sure where to start with this. Honestly, if this wasn't happening to me, I probably wouldn't believe it either. About a month ago, my grandma got admitted to the hospital. Nothing life-threatening or anything, but she was gonna be there for a while, so somebody had to stay at her house. That somebody ended up being me. Now my grandma's house is old. Not creepy old, just old. The kind of house where the floors creak when nobody's walking. The kind of house where every sound feels louder at night. The first couple days were normal, then the third night happened. I remember looking at my phone before I went to sleep. It was 2:13 in the morning. I know that because I checked the time right before putting my phone on the charger. A few minutes later, I woke up to somebody whispering, "Hey." My eyes opened immediately. The voice sounded close, real close, like somebody was standing right next to my bed. I sat up and looked around. Nothing, nobody. I checked the hallway, every room, the bathroom, the kitchen. The front door was still locked. Every window was shut. There was nobody in that house except me. Eventually, I convinced myself I imagined it. Maybe I was half asleep. Maybe I dreamed it. So I went back to bed. I closed my eyes, and right as I started drifting off, I heard it again. This time it wasn't next to me. It was coming from the hallway. Hey.
Everyone knows John Wayne Gacy buried bodies beneath his house, but almost nobody asks, what happened to the clown? After his execution, investigators claimed every costume was destroyed, every mask, every trace of pogo, except one. An old evidence locker worker wrote that one clown suit would never stay sealed. Boxes were reopened, locks somehow came undone, and every security camera facing the room filled with static. At exactly 3:14 a.m., one guard swore he saw a clown standing perfectly still in the hallway. White face, red smile, no footsteps, just the sound of children laughing somewhere inside the building. The report disappeared the next morning. Officially, it never happened. But if you ever hear someone whisper, "Want to see a magic trick?" don't turn around. Red Frequency TV. Some performances never end. Have you ever heard of the Hush Man? They say every town has a sound that doesn't belong. Some people hear knocking, others hear footsteps. But if you ever hear someone whisper, "Shh," and nobody's there, you've already been noticed. The Hush Man doesn't scream. He doesn't speak. He doesn't even breathe. He only waits for you to make the next sound. A teenager once recorded the whisper while exploring an abandoned school. He laughed. His friend asked, "Did you hear that?" The recording cut out. Police found the camera the next morning, still recording. The school was empty, except every classroom door was wide open. The final frame showed a tall figure standing at the end of the hallway. His mouth was stitched completely shut. His skin looked pale like old paper. His impossibly long fingers rested over where his lips should have been, as if he were reminding the camera. Shh, they never found the two teenagers. Now, people say, if your room suddenly becomes unnaturally quiet, don't call out, don't whisper, don't even breathe too loudly, because once the Hush Man hears your voice, he'll spend the rest of your life trying to silence it. Red Frequency TV. Silence is the only thing he leaves behind. a small farming town, so cutting through cornfields wasn't unusual. Everyone did it. Last October, I left my friend's house just before sunset and took the shortcut through the biggest field outside town. The corn was taller than me. The stalks were dry at the top and damp near the roots, and they kept scraping my sleeves as I walked. The ground had that soft, muddy give from earlier rain, so every step made a slow, sucking sound. It smelled like wet dirt, fertilizer, and old plant matter baking in the last bit of daylight. About 5 minutes in, I realized I couldn't see the road anymore. The sky was still bright above the field, but down in the rows, it felt like the light was swallowed. Everything looked the same. Corn, dirt, corn, dirt. Even the sound of my own footsteps started to feel wrong, like the field was copying me. I laughed it off and kept going. Then I heard someone yell, "Hey, over here!" I stopped. The voice sounded real, close enough to be another guy lost in the rows, tired, a little strained. I yelled back, "Where are you?" A few seconds later, from somewhere ahead of me, "I'm over here." So I followed it. For almost 10 minutes, I pushed through row after row, the leaves hissing against my jacket and stinging my forearms. But no matter how close the voice sounded, I never saw anyone. Just the same narrow tunnel of stalks, just my breathing getting faster. Then I noticed something that made my stomach turn.